This episode is a Rising Phoenix production. Rising Phoenix is a new student-led initiative to cover Elon athletics. Through innovative content creation and storytelling, Elon University students will have the opportunity to highlight the moments, people, and events that make an impact, leveraging the athletic department's various web and social media platforms for distribution. For more content and information, follow Rising Phoenix on Twitter at EU Rising Phoenix and Instagram at Elon Rising Phoenix. Enjoy the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Rising Phoenix podcast. I'm your host, Chase Strasser, alongside my official co-host now, Aiden Blake. This is episode 5, which means we have over 2 hours of podcasts available wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, you name it, we're on there. We've talked to current athletes, alumni, each with a unique story that I highly encourage you to listen to. Now, again, to today's episode, we have another fantastic guest lined up. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Khirey Walker. Welcome, and thanks for joining us today.
What's up, man? Glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Excited to talk to you guys today.
To start off, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, your role at Elon, and your connection to the school.
Absolutely. So I am Dr. Khirey Walker, current assistant professor of sport management in the School of Communications here at Elon. Additionally to that, I am the color commentator for Elon football alongside the great Taylor Durham, so I've been doing that as well, and I am actually a 2011 Elon alum, graduated with a major from the Love School of Business in marketing and a minor in leadership studies. I was also the Student Athlete Advisory Committee president. I played football. I think I said that. If I didn't, I did. I didn't play football well, much more known for my academics and my athletic prowess, but I'm an Elon guy that's now an Elon professor, so that's a little segue into my resume here.
To start with the football background, You were a player here at Elon, like you said, had some success. You helped achieve the first ever playoff banner for Elon back in 2009.
Yep.
So what moments or lessons did you take away from those experiences?
Man, Elon in 2007, 2011, I was here, it was a completely different place in a lot of ways, but at its core, it's still Elon. And playing on those teams, man, we had some great players. Some of those guys were just outstanding football players, and they grew up to be great men. And just every time I'm on this campus, I kind of relish those moments, and I kind of think about it. Some of the ridiculous things that we did on this campus that I cannot speak of because they probably be held against me in some way, shape, or form. But when it came to the football field, we were really, really, really good. It was the way we were able to play. I tell the young ones now all the time, and I still feel very confident about this. The 2009 team is the best Elon football team to ever grace this campus, and I will take that. Whoever wants to battle about it, I mean, just check the Hall of Fame banners, right? And that's just from an offensive standpoint. We had one of the nastiest defenses ever. But yeah, that's been one of the fun parts of being here, especially from a football player standpoint, is kind of seeing the great experiences that we had and how much I enjoyed being on those guys. But then also watching how that was kind of the start of a new Elon era, just watching how Elon's really evolved as a university from that, not only from the athletic department, but also as an institution. So yeah, that's a little segue into it. It's been really fun to be here, watch these guys navigate it. It's fun to watch them on the field in Rhodes Stadium as well. It's fun that they get the field house. I graduated right before that. I'm still kind of disgusted about it. We used to run down from the soccer field house. That's where our locker room was. So imagine going back and forth during halftime for that. Zero fun. But that was a little bit of me kind of rambling here and just kind of talking about it. But, it's good to be back. It's good to be here and watching this from a different perspective, especially after the lived experiences I've had. But at the end of the day, Elon's still Elon. So I've been pretty fortunate to be here.
And with that, you were a student athlete here.
Yep.
What connections do you have with your current student athletes that you work with within the classroom, and how can you bring your knowledge of being an ex-student athlete to them while they're trying to navigate that ever-changing world now with NIL and transfer portal.
Yeah. Well, I would say the transfer portal and the NIL is still something so new to all of us, including myself. So it's like I'm still learning something about this each and every day. So that's an interesting part of the conversation because, they just have access to more things there. But I think any student athlete would tell you, especially those who have been in my class, I have so much appreciation that you're a student athlete. However, you're going to get nothing special because you are a student athlete. And I think a lot of students are not, they kind of have this thought that, oh, Dr. Walker played football here. He's going to be really nice to all the student athletes because he was an athlete as well. And I think once they actually see me get into it and how I teach my class, anyone can get some love from me any day, and my expectation is that they're going to be a great representation of themselves, their families, and their teams. So when they step into the class, the expectation is that they're going to be great, that they're going to be to the caliber of an Elon student, and nothing's going to be given, everything's going to be earned. And and I think it's kind of fun. It's fun being in that capacity because whenever they start to say, "Oh, Dr. Walkman, we had practice, we had this," yes, I know, I went through it. I remember those nights sitting in Belk Library till 2, 3 a.m. Then I have to wake up at 6 and go to practice or go to weights, and then I have an 8 o'clock class, and I'm in classes till 1, and then I have to go watch film, and then I have to go pre-practice. Like I remember all of that. So whenever they try to slide that in there in a conversation, it's like I've been here and I've done all these things. So it's a very, I think I would say, unique situation that I thoroughly enjoy. And it's good to build those relationships with them because I feel like it's been solid. I've been able to make some great bonds with our student athletes and all of our students here, but the student athletes specifically just based off of those experiences that I've had.
And do you feel that you're connecting more with the football players that are in the classroom besides the baseball, soccer players, or is it kind of a very, same connection to all of them?
I think it's been a same connection to all of them. Obviously, with the football players, I'm around them a little bit more as a broadcaster, being able to do color commentating. So, I got to travel with the team to away games this year, and it was really fun, So I'm sitting there pregame breakfast, eating right across from the guys. So it was really great being on the plane with them as well. But I think every student athlete that I've kind of come in contact with, I've been able to generate some type of bond with them, just with the uniqueness of the experience that they have. And I think they understand that I understand what they're going through. So there's a little bit of a, I guess, draw there where they're like, okay, well, he can allude to it, which I absolutely do. But one thing that they understand very quickly is that as much as I understand this experience, there are no gifts, right? The expectation is that you're going to give me your absolute best. And if you don't give me your absolute best in class like you would in the field or in the weight room, I don't want it. So they understand the expectations fairly early with me. And I think that kind of honesty has been really important in the developing of a true bond between myself and the student athletes here on campus.
You had a lot of success on the field, but you also had a lot of success, like you said, in the classroom, not only teaching, but when you were a student. Yep. You won an award for the highest GPA for a male student athlete at the time.
Big nerd, yeah.
So that must take, I'm not a student athlete myself, but that must take incredible work-life balance.
Yep.
So do you feel like, I assume the answer is yes, but do you feel like you achieved that during your time at Elon, and how exactly did you?
Absolutely not. I had no work-life balance. Let's be very clear. And thank you for saying that. That makes me feel really good. But I was just like any other student here. And I'm very honest with my students about that. Like, I would try to schedule things out, and then it was just like that procrastination bug would hit, and I'm in the library, and I'm making cookout runs at 2 a.m. because it's like I am extremely hungry and I need to get something in me so I can knock out the rest of this paper. I just told my students the other day, I used to love the thrill of trying to finish a ridiculous length paper in a short amount of time. Like, it's like, oh, 8 pages? I have 6 hours? Let's go, right? And it's just, it was insane. But I think the thing about it was I just held myself to a really high expectation in the classroom, though. Even in those moments of procrastination, I wanted it to be quality work, and I wanted it to be a good representation of who I am, who I would be, because I knew football wasn't going to be around all the time. And I knew that building relationships with faculty members, showcasing personality in the classroom, engaging in the classroom, you never know when you're going to need those people. You never know when those individuals are going to be really impactful in your life. So I wanted to make sure within the athletic department, within any of the coaches, any of the teachers, administrators here at Elon, when they heard the name Khirey Walker, they would be able to say, that was someone who really put forth his best foot in every way, shape, or form. Always in class, always attentive, always engaged, and giving his best. And I think that was a big part of me kind of going through this experience of being back here, is that I really worked hard for 4 years and being a student and an athlete. And like I said, I wasn't the greatest defensive tackle to ever play here, but I think no one could ever say I didn't give my all. And I think I could rest my hat on that. I'm very proud of that.
And starting your teaching career at, big football school like LSU, and then moving to Ball State, now back to Elon, 11 years later now. Make you feel old?
Thanks, Aiden.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah.
What is that journey like, going from, tiny Elon to massive LSU to little smaller Ball State and now back to Elon?
Listen, when I first got to LSU, I told everyone, like, there was no way I could have done undergrad at LSU. There's no way, because I don't think I'd be here today. LSU's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. When you're talking 35,000 students on one campus, it's an exhausting experience. And I remember, I will always tell this story. My first day of my master's there, I wanted to set a really, really good example. So I wore a button-down shirt, which is, as you know, Aiden's very rare because I sweat profusely. I had a button-down shirt tucked in. Also, I love a golf shirt, but this was tucked in, belt, some Sperry's. Like, I'm feeling pretty good. Also, we're talking about Baton Rouge in August. So it's about 95 at 9 a.m. And I get there, I go sit in the class. I realize I'm in the wrong classroom. And my class is on the other side of campus. So I am mad sprinting to my class. I am 30 minutes late on my first day. Shirt was a light blue. It was dark blue by the time I got there. And I was just like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't have to do this for 4 years. But in talking about the overall experience, I think LSU was great for me because it kind of let me know that wasn't the experience I needed. It kind of provided that. I'm not a big what if person, but it let me know, I'm really glad and thankful for the experience I had at Elon, because it just made sense. Smaller classrooms, smaller community, and that really worked for me. And, sometimes those bigger schools work for other people. It just wasn't for me. And, being able to be a student there was great, but being a teacher there, that set the foundation for me to realize that this was the career I wanted. Because I even said, if I could teach at LSU, I could teach anywhere. My first class was a sports seminar class with 151 students in there. And it's the most ridiculous class I've ever taught in my life. When I tell you, there was no filter. That class, whenever we had guests, it was terrifying because I knew someone would say something that would make them think, like, what is going on here? But LSU was such a great experience. It really helped me have everything that I needed, all the tools, teaching various classes. I mean, I'm still very close with a lot of those students that I built great relationships with. And then I left there and I went to Muncie, Indiana. I mean, listen, oof. What a place, man, in the middle of the Midwest. And I just remember I got there, but I think I was able to really fine-tune myself as a teacher to go to a place that's kind of isolated and smaller, obviously, in a few ways than LSU, especially from an athletic department standpoint. But I grew a lot as a teacher. And I think one thing that I love about those Ball State students is that they're very blue-collar, as in they're there because they are working towards their career, and a lot of them are paying their own way, and it is a sacrifice for them. So they give their best, and it's a unique experience for them. For me to be in the classroom and to build the relationships I had, and then I also taught graduate classes at Ball State, and I think that just fine-tuned me as a teacher as well. And I say this all the time, when I graduated from LSU, I applied for a job here and I did not get it. And I remember I was like, I'm not donating anything on Elon Day because I am upset. But I went to Ball State and I had those 5 years where I just felt like, okay, I was able to create what I needed and just be the best teacher I could possibly be. I had a lot of highs and lows there, and I saw the opportunity here and I came back, and I feel like through my 4 years teaching at LSU, my 5 years that I had at Ball State, I think Elon's getting the best version of me as an educator and as a professional, because I feel like I'm in a better position now than I would have been a couple years prior.
At what point did you decide that teaching was something you wanted to pursue, something you wanted to do in the future? When did you discover that passion, and what kind of led you down that path?
Teaching, and I tell my students in my contemporary class all the time, teaching was not on my radar until the last year of my master's. Like, if you would have told me when I was a student here, hey, Khirey, you're gonna be teaching for your living. You're gonna be a researcher. That's gonna be your life. I would have called you a liar, and I would say, get away from me. I definitely thought I was gonna be a coach. Coaching was something I was really adamant about. I wanted to coach football, and then I started to learn about it. And one thing I've learned about that industry is that you don't have as much control with your life in the process. And one thing I like having, and I've always really liked this, is I like being able to decide to do the things I want to do. And teaching allows me to do that. I can pick my research area. I get to pick, where I want to go to a conference or where I want to spend my time, or, I have a lot of flexibility in my classes. Like, I get a choice to navigate how I want my career to be. And in coaching, you don't always have that. And, I remember I was doing some preliminary research as a master's student, and my advisor, Dr. Chad Seifried, I told him I was interested in it, and he was just like, all right, if you think you really can do it, let's get you going. And fun quick story here, I actually applied when I was a master's student at LSU. I applied and got into the Ohio State University for my PhD, but they lost my GRE scores. So listen, crazy to me too. I was like, how do you lose digital scores? But they lost them, and I ended up staying at LSU, which was one of the best things for me because Dr. Seifried was my advisor, and he pushed me. I mean, honestly, he was the academic version of Bob Knight. He was tough on me, and I loved it because he had so much of a toughness in building me. But I also didn't like it because I was like, this is academia. No, I thought I escaped missing a reach block and getting yelled at. But, that type of tough love was so instrumental in me becoming the academic I am today. So much love and appreciation to him. But that's when I realized, I was like, this is a good life to live. And, I've been able to travel. I've done some great things being here. And, like I said, it's more of a full circle thing being here and being home. So definitely appreciate it.
And here at Elon, you teach the Intro to Sport Management class. And I know
It's not Intro to Sport Management, Aiden. What's it called?
Contemporary Sport Management.
Attaboy.
My apologies. So you teach that Contemporary Sport Management class.
Yes, sir.
And you bring in a lot of outside information to that class, whether it's Friday Night Tykes, the very impactful 9/11 kind of section that you go through. One, why do you enjoy teaching that intro class so much? And two, what value do you see bringing those outside topics into the classroom?
That's probably the best question you've ever asked me. So
wow.
Take that.
Right.
I think that's a compliment. No, that's a great question. So for me, I've been teaching when I was at LSU and when I was at Ball State, it was Intro Sport Management. Here is Contemporary. I've been teaching that class since day one. That has been a constant class to me. And honestly, that is a class that I would want to teach for the rest of my career. And the reason I love teaching is because genuinely, I don't think students fully understand sport management when they arrive, right? It's just like, oh, I get to study sports, right? And that's great. But I don't think students fully grasp the opportunities of researching in sport or looking at the industry. And I think I have so much joy when students get to connect their personal experiences into how could this lead me potentially to a career, right? And then also, we have a lot of really big sport fans who decide to study in sport management, but then also trying to get them to understand being a sport fan has nothing to do with the pursuit of a career in sport management. You have to be able to identify the line and understand when it's time to take the fan hat off and put the sport management hat on. So I take a lot of pride in that, and I get to enjoy it. I get to, the first half of the semester is typically a little bit more, definition based. It's not the most fun thing in the world, just kind of building that foundation. But the second half of the semester, when we really get to talk about specific items such as youth sport, high school sport, college sport, pro sport, and we get to dive into not just what we have here in the U.S., but things from a more international scope too, so students get a little bit more of an experience. I love that. because it's just like, Aiden mentioned Friday Night Tykes. There's so many of our students who have not seen Friday Night Tykes, and that's one of my favorite assignments in the world because they watched the first episode of the first season, and so many students are just like, wow, I can't believe youth sports this insane. This is ridiculous. I think this needs to be stopped. Then there are some students that are just like, this is very similar to the experience I had. And I don't think what they're doing is that crazy. It's just, people are really passionate about sport. And then having the dialogue after that is really interesting because, once again, the beauty of sport is that we're able to talk about things and not immediately get offense or thinking comments are offensive. Like, we are willing to have healthy debates in sport. There's not a lot of things in today's society we're willing to have healthy debates about, but sports is one of them. So, I love bringing new things to our students because I think the more opportunities they have to just look at the scope of sports outside of their own lens, it just makes them better. And I think kind of me continuing to bring things to the curriculum and bringing new things to the classroom, it makes me better as well. It makes me well-versed in having conversations, especially tough conversations with our crew. And, we have a good time in there, especially at 8 o'clock in the morning every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
That was definitely the highlight of my first semester, and that class is the reason that I'm a sport management major. So I thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It better be. Good answer.
It is.
Yeah, well said, Aiden.
It is.
You mentioned that you're not only a professor, but also a researcher.
Yes, sir.
What is your focus in your research, and what led you to those topics?
Yeah, I wrote a 245-page dissertation on organizational misconduct in the NCAA, just looking at how schools cheated and why were they so good at it and how they got away with it. And honestly, that study was one of the hardest things I've ever done, physically and mentally. I mean, it was a 3-paper dissertation. You can look at it if you want to. It's not my best writing, but understand, we've grown. But it was a great study where I got to just look at how the media reports on acts of misconduct and how schools, what's the likelihood of the sanctions they receive if they were found guilty, and just the history of how the NCAA kind of cracked down on misconduct cases. And I've done that for a little bit, and I've started to shift. Now a lot of my research is looking in the area of mentorship and looking at how student athletes or just athletes as a whole receive mentorship in various stages of their life, whether it's high school sport or college sport, and just looking at what that looks like. One of the big things that I'm kind of working on right now is just, especially in high school. High school coaches, are they truly serving as mentors? Are they mentoring these athletes? Because I believe wholeheartedly there's a difference between a coach and a mentor and a leader, right? And I think a mentor is someone who's focused on the whole person, right? And not just what they're doing on or off the respective field of play. It's just really how to build that person to have a better life, right? In the pursuit of the things that they want to accomplish. So, that's been my big push right now, just looking at mentorship and mentorship programmings within intercollegiate programs. And we see it a lot more in D3 than we do in D1, but my end goal, is kind of my dream, is try to create some type of mentorship program here at Elon for our athletes, specifically with faculty members, because I think one of the big issues, not just at Elon, but a lot of colleges, is that there's just a little bit of an intimidation factor sometimes where student athletes, just like any student, but student athletes especially, are kind of intimidated of teachers because they feel like, oh, this teacher is going to look down on me because I'm a student athlete, rather than building a relationship. But I think that's also on the faculty members because, some faculty members may just label the student athlete as just that. And I think student athletes have, especially here at Elon, we have some who are outstanding in multiple ways, and I think they need to be respected as such. So I think just the creation and development of mentorship programming is something I'm very passionate about, and that's my end goal. But that's the key of my research right now. And I did a research project with Kenny Mallory with the baseball team over the summer. We did a SURE project, and he crushed it, where we looked at leadership and mentorship in youth baseball. We got to follow a youth baseball team for an entire summer. The most ridiculous yet greatest experience I've ever had. And Kenny did an outstanding job there, and I'm hoping to continue to do some more research with student athletes in the near future. So,
outside of the classroom, we often see you at almost every single sporting event known to man on the Elon campus.
Correct.
Sometimes with Brutus,
sometimes
when it allows.
Yes.
What does that mean to you to support your student athletes, the student workers, outside of the classroom? On a more personal level, when you're taking time out of your day where you could be, at home grading, sleeping, playing video games, playing with your dog, whatnot.
Sleeping.
What value does that kind of hold with you?
Man, that's something I take a lot of pride of because I knew how much I loved seeing my faculty members at my sporting events. I always remember my senior day it wasn't senior day because I had 1 more year eligibility, but I remember our final game in 2010 versus Western Carolina. I was there, and Dr. Stephen Hall, who is still here, and he's in the education department, and I had taken his class because I did a student teaching experience with his class. And I just remember seeing how happy I was, and I gave his sons my game gloves from that game. Now, mind you, we don't have the means to just be giving out gloves like that, but because I was just excited to see him, and his kids are like grown now and married, and it's crazy to think about. But for me, just seeing my faculty members and being able, when they sit there and say, "Hey, I was at the game, great game," like that just means a lot. And for me, I want to support our student athletes. I want to support all our student athletes, but for me, I really want to support our female student athletes more than anything else. And just because I see the hard yards they put in and how much the work, the effort, the energy, the blood, sweat, and tears that they invest in their sports that they've been playing all of their lives. And I think there could be more opportunity to give them that type of support. So I want to support all of our student athletes, but I really want to show our ladies some support because they work just as hard as any other team on this campus. And, most of the super successful teams that we've had at Elon have been our ladies. So, I just want them to know I'm there, and I bring the dog out when I can, just, get him some air. But I'm terrified that he's going to run on the field for soccer once. It's going to happen.
Or just eat something that he shouldn't.
We've already done that several times. But no, I just want to reciprocate the energy I received when I was a student athlete here. And I just want our student athletes to know they have someone who's on their side, someone that wants to see them win on and off the field. And it seems as, just seeing them after a game giving a high five is something that's really minuscule to both of us, me and them, but it's something that I hope would just continue to showcase that they have someone in their corner. So it means a lot, and that's something that I feel very passionate about.
It's my belief that the Elon Sport Management Department, I might be a little biased,
Uh-oh.
but I think it's a really special department, especially the way it's set up where the offices are right there, and also all the classes I've had are those two classrooms in Long. So I know I take a class with Dr. Kim, and I see you pop in all the time, and you say hi to students.
Usually to yell at me.
Yeah.
Usually to yell at Aiden.
Yes.
But I just think that the faculty that's there and the unique situation where it's very condensed, what kind of opportunities does that allow you to build relationships, and do you feel that way about your colleagues and what you guys have built?
Man, I've been really lucky in my career to be at Ball State and at Elon, where I've had two outstanding groups of faculty members. And I think the uniqueness, like you alluded to Elon, is that we're all in one space. Our classes, those are our classrooms, right? And 201 and 203 in Long. Like upstairs Long is a sport management area, and I think I love that. Like I love walking into my office and yelling good morning to Dr. Kim, who is the happiest person I ever met in my life, and it's always a very loud reply, good morning, which just puts me in the best mood possible. Dr. Trogan and I have definitely developed like this Robin Big bromance, which I love. That's my guy. We both came in together, and we're navigating year 2 of this together. We have outstanding leadership with Dr. Lucia. Dr. Crine's doing his thing with baseball, sabermetrics in the Dominican Republic. We have Professor Squadron, who is so informative on so many different things. He's, I'm going to use this term loosely here, but OG. If you know what OG means, he's the original gangster. That's what I'm going to call it because he's from New York. And then, we have Dr. Dabbs, who is just, she's done so many great things, and she's a great resource for all of us, and just watching what she's doing with Wins. And, to round us out, if you go to Shar, we got our other guy up there, good old Bach, Dr. Bacchino, and he is ridiculous, and I love him so much. And it's just, if you look at our research areas, if you look at our backgrounds, all of us, man, it's such a dynamic group who, no matter where you're interested in the realm of sport, you can find one of us that's going to be able to really key in and help you get to where you need to be. And I love that. I love sharing a space. I love being able to yell at Dr. Kim. I think what's made me a better teacher this semester is I have Dr. Kim across the hall. So I think we're the two loudest professors by far. And, I start off my 9:30 class every day. Dr. Kim, hey, love you, love your energy, have a great class. And he just replies back, you're welcome, Dr. Walker. And it's like, oh, let's get after it. I'm ready. Let's have a day. And I think our students love it. I think our students love seeing all of us in one space too. You just walk into the office and our doors are usually open if we're there, and you'll get multiple conversations. He can, like Aiden can walk in and go see Dr. Troggett, but he's 100% going to get yelled at by me for something because why I've seen him. So he's likely going to get yelled at, and that's the fun of it.
Yeah, that's accurate.
That's very accurate.
Usually doesn't go out without a Dr. Walker yell about something that I probably messed up.
Right. Or if Aiden walked in to go see anyone and my door was open and he did not stop in, he knew there was going to be some words shared, right?
Or just wildly dirty looks in my general direction.
Absolutely. The side eye gets very salty with a little bit of a smirk, but then we'll fix it. But no, I love our department. I love our team, and I'm so grateful, so thankful, so blessed to be working with these individuals because, it's a fun day. And, I didn't even mention Dr. Weaver, Associate Dean Weaver, having his resources as well. I mean, we're a strong team, and I like the cohesiveness we've had over the last year and a half. It's crazy to think the semester's almost over, but I'm excited to see how we continue to grow.
Yeah, and on top of that, you're officially kind of back at Elon now that you're living on campus.
Yeah.
You and Brutus. Living it up.
Yeah.
What was kind of the I guess, methodology behind moving back onto campus, being more connected with not only your sport management students, not only your athletes, but just kind of the general student body?
Right. Well, one of the big things for me is when I got the job to come back here, one thing that immediately came to my mind is like, if I can help any student understand this experience and what it is, like truly what it is, then I need to do that. And I felt me serving on campus in this capacity, living in colonnades where there's a lot of first-year students, I get it. There's so much thrown at students in their first year, and it's just like, if I can help kind of ease some of those nerves, if I can help students adjust and, be a part of something that is really, really helpful, then I will do that. And, serving as a faculty in residence, I get to do that. I get to work with Dr. Nina Namaste, who's the faculty director in Colonnades, and phenomenal. Love her so much. She's been a great resource. And we have, Carly Strasser is our community director, and we got some good things going in Nades. And the thing is that we just try to keep our students as involved without being invasive, right? It's like, hey, you're college students, you're going to enjoy your experience. We want to just have some programming in place for you. And for me, that's what I wanted to do. I just feel like, hey, I know Elon really well. If I can help you navigate this in any way, shape, or form I can. I'm an alum here. Yes, there's some differences for sure, but I think if I can just help you be comfortable here and early on, I think eventually you'll be able to find your way and really maximize this place. So living on campus has been a great opportunity. I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far.
As you mentioned before, another way you're connected on campus is you serve as color commentator.
Yes, sir.
With the football team. You get to do that with Taylor Durham. Shout out Elon Sports Vision, that whole team.
Yes.
What has that been like? I know that you were approached about that and they brought you in. So that's just a completely different realm. Did you ever do commentary before, or was this your first time hopping on?
All right. So, no, not at all. It was kind of funny because he's going to probably get mad at me for saying this on air, but it's fair. I was not TD's first or second choice, which was fair, right? And I remember when I first got word that, he was interested in possibly me doing this, I was like, why? Why do you want to hear me do this? And we actually went out to lunch, went to Red Bull. So that was a good way to kind of recruit me and get me going. He paid for my Red Bull, and he kind of broke it down. And
this present wasn't Cookout,
It
honestly.
wasn't Cookout. We went to Red Bull, and Red Bull was a big part of my life when I was a student here because it just opened. Alamance Crossing when it was so much better. But yeah, we went out. He told me the ins and outs of it, and I was very skeptical because it was like, I like critiquing commentators, right? It's like, oh, this commentator's awful, this, that, and the other. And then when you do it, it's like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't talk as much trash. And I remember I was so nervous. My first game was against Richmond, and I just remember our opening. Like, I honestly thought I was going to throw up. I was so terrified. It was just the opening. Like, if I messed up, we could do another take. And then just going through the game, I was kind of nervous, but then I just realized I'm talking about football. I'm just talking about what I see, and then I've kind of fallen in love with it. I love being in the booth. I've had the opportunities this year to go to away games, so I got to travel with the team. Being able to go to Delaware, which is a beautiful facility in a very interesting place. Being able to, go to Wake Forest to open up the season. Now, it was a great experience for me to have, and I've learned so much from TD. He is a consummate professional in there. That man works very, very, very hard. He's the voice of the Phoenix for a reason, and we have so much fun in the booth. And I think that's what made it easy for me. It's something that I will keep doing until Elon says no more. But it's been a welcomed part of my life, and something that I'm excited to continue to grow in. And obviously, in doing stuff like that, you can always get better. And I listen to myself in most of our broadcasts, and it's like, hey, I really like this. Hey, I didn't. But, it's been a welcome change, and I've really enjoyed my 2 seasons of calling Elon football. So very thankful for it.
And with that, working very closely with the athletics department, what kind of do you bring any of that kind of information into the classroom of how, our personal athletic department works and how that can be used as like a teaching aid almost?
Yeah, I think that's something that I really try to work on in my 21-20 class this year, is that, we have here at Elon a Division I athletic department, and I love the staff we have over there. They work tirelessly. And the one thing I've learned from LSU especially is that the best way to get students to understand how this works is to get them involved. So one of the things I did this semester with my 21-20 contemporary class is that we had more hands-on experiences. So students helped out with one of the departments all semester. So it's either you helped out in the ticket office, or you helped out in event operations, or you helped out with development, or you helped out with athletic training. You helped out with a specific area just to have those experiences. So, when it's just like, hey, I really enjoyed this. This is something I want to continue to do. Guess what? Now you have an opportunity to potentially have an internship, and just to have a name on the resume, or someone who's going to be willing to work with you and teach you. Because the classroom is great, but the big thing about our industry and sport is that you got to get your hands dirty a little bit. I've heard students like, hey, I want to be in marketing, and then they wait senior year to do a 320-hour marketing project. It's like, you know what I learned? I hate marketing. And it's just like, well, kind of spent too much time on that. So, it's just navigating those type of situations is really important for me, and having our students involved was great. I got to see them at all the sporting events, helping out in some way, shape, or form. We had a few students who were terrified at the UNCW Elon soccer game because it was a really intense game. And they were working as the ball boys, and things were getting said, people were getting screamed at, but overall, that's something they're going to remember. And I've tried to really. I want to make sure our program in the athletic department has a healthy, beneficial relationship for everyone, because I think we have over 250 students in our major, and getting them over there to have those experiences not only helps us, but it helps them and to achieve the goals that they want to within the athletic department. So that's something that I'm very passionate about and hope to continue to see in the future.
Speaking specifically, again, about the sport management department, as Elon expands, so does your department, and one of the expansion efforts has been the Elon in Charlotte program,
yes,
which was introduced last year, and I saw that you had taught courses for the program. So what have you seen from that program, and what does that allow students, faculty? Why is it important that Elon develops this big presence in Charlotte specifically?
Yeah, Charlotte has been fun. I go to Charlotte every Wednesday, so I teach class at 8. I teach class at 9:30. I get in the car. I drive to teach my class at Charlotte from 2 to 5. It's a 3-hour class that meets once a week. And it is very unique, the crew that we have down there. We have 12 students. Students have internships that range from the ACC, NASCAR, Fox Sports, the National Junior College Athletic Association. Like, these students are down there, and they're working hard. And not only that, they're taking three classes, three 3-hour classes. They have one Tuesday morning with Dr. Lucia. They have one Wednesday morning with Dr. Costello, and then they have my class, College Athletic Administration, on Wednesday afternoons. And so, they only have 2 days of classes, but then outside of that, they're really keyed in on their internship. And Charlotte's such a great opportunity. Like, I think it's grown so much. So when I was a student here, obviously with the addition of Charlotte FC, with just ACC moving from Greensboro to Charlotte and just watching how it's just booming down there, it just makes sense. And our students have really capitalized on that, and they've left their footprint. And Elon, if you know anything about Elon University, if they're going to do it big, they're going to do it big. And, we have a great space in South End. I love teaching down there. It's right near a QT and a Publix, so I can get a slushie and a pub sub before class every day and fuel up for 3 hours of fun. And we have a great time. And I think it's been this has been a great first group to really understand the experience and how can we continue to fine-tune this for other students as well, because we have such an eclectic group of students here in our program where maybe they don't want to go internationally and study abroad. Maybe they their dream is to work with Charlotte Motor Speedway. Maybe their dream is to work with want to market UNC's Charlotte or something like that, where they just want to get those experiences. And honestly, I don't feel like there's a better place for it. It allows us, as a university, to still be connected, right? Some of these study abroad experiences are so far out that our ability to be connected as much is not there. Even the study away programs like LA and New York, even though Elon does a great job of having those resources there, Charlotte's right down the street, so in my mind, so we can just get there and try to enhance it. And shout out to our 12. They've worked so hard. They just had an event that they put on with the Charlotte Knights for Dr. Lucia's class Sunday, and they have Dr. Costello's exam in the morning, and then they get to see my beautiful face and do a presentation tomorrow afternoon. Then they're done. They move out of their apartment. So I think it's something that's been great for our institution, but really great for our program. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Where do you see kind of that program specifically, and kind of yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, and hopefully that is still at Elon, but what do you see the evolution of the Charlotte program, the sports management program, and yourself?
Well, I'm not going nowhere. I'm here. I made that decision a long time ago. Once I got this job, I was like, where else would I want to be? I'm at a place that I know, a place that I love, a place that I'm invested into, not just professionally, but personally. Like Elon has, this was a place that is a big part of my life. My family loves it here. My mom and dad were probably more excited than me when I got hired here. So let's just clear that air right now. I don't want people listening just like, oh, he's whispering, he's going somewhere. Now I'm here. I'm good. I think our program has a great opportunity to continue to just thrive. Once again, I think it starts with our students. We have students graduating from our program doing great things, who are really jumping into this industry head first and are crushing it. And I think one of the biggest pushes for us is we just want to continue to maximize our student experiences as much as possible. We want students to be involved in clubs. We want students to study abroad. We want students to do these projects, to build these portfolios that are really purposeful. And I think, as we continue to build that, and we have a good core of that, but as we continue to build, good things are going to happen. And I think that also falls on our faculty. And, I think the crazy thing, this is the largest faculty team I've ever had. At Ball State, we had 5. At LSU, there was 4. And here we have 8. And that does not include Associate Dean Weaver. And I think if you look at one of our program as a whole, sport management, one of the largest majors on campus. We're definitely in the top 10. I think we're like number 7 or number 8. So that lets you know we're getting students here too. So, just continue to maximize our opportunity there and just grow. And whether it's through research, whether it's through publications, whether it's going to be a book, or it's going to be, taking our students to case study competitions, or it's saber competitions like Dr. Crine does, or, Dr. Ken takes a group of students to the Sport Marketing Association case study, and like myself and Dr. Troggett, we're taking a few students to Applied Sport Management Association conference in February. We are going to continue to get the name of Elon Sport Management out there, and we just let our students do the rest. And I think our students have done a really, really, really good job of, representing themselves and representing our program. So as long as they do that and we continue to put forth our best effort, man, I'm just really excited to see where this program is going to grow to, because I think we've we're heading in the right direction and we have the right people in the right places to really maximize this and get where we want to be.
To tie everything in a nice little bow, you've talked about your commentary, being a professor, living on campus. Everything that you're currently doing is wrapped around Elon and this university. It's been so involved in your life. What is special about the university, and why do you feel such a connection to its students, to the campus, everything?
Yeah, man. Elon's it was the place when I came on my visit, and I think that's when I first fell in love with it. I remember myself and my dad came on my official visit in January 2007, and I was extremely nervous because the only thing I had heard about Elon was, I was being recruited by Warren Ruggiero, who's the offensive coordinator at Wake Forest now, and he spoke about it so highly. And I always cracked this joke when head coach Pete Limbo came to my house for an in-home visit. The first question from my mom was, "How is he going to go to school in Arizona?" And I just remember sitting there, and I looked at her, and my dad looked at her, and she was dead serious. And coach was like, "What?" He was like, "Well, how's he going to go to school in Phoenix, Arizona?" And I was like, "Mom, Phoenix is the mascot. It's not the city? No, it's not. It's not." And I was like, "Oh, well, he's going to drop his offer." And if he did, I'd be very upset, but I kind of understand. And I was excited. And he's, you see all the pictures of it, and this is before social media really boomed. So I know that's crazy to say, and I'm talking about 2007. But I got here, and I think Coach Limbo did a great job on my visit. The first person I met on this campus was Dean John Burbridge from the business school. I didn't meet a coach. I didn't meet a player. I didn't meet strength and conditioning coordinators. I didn't meet anyone in the athletic department. The first person I met was the dean of the business school, because I think Coach Limbo knew I was coming here to go to school. I came here to get my degree, and I talked about just learning about business, and they sold me there. I remember talking to Dean Burbridge and getting to meet him, and I got to meet Dr. Danley as well, and the rest of that visit, just went well. I met some friends on that visit who ended up coming to Elon, and we're best friends here today. So, I got here and I got to have that sense of community, and I think Elon was the perfect size for me. And, I was just like any other student. I had ups and downs, highs, lows. I aced tests. I got beat up by tests. Like McMichael and Duke both scar me as buildings. Like, I can't stand both of those buildings today because of the horrible things that happened, especially in Duke. Oh my God, listen, Duke is just like, it is close to Long, so it's just like I just walk past it. And McMichael, when I took biology, I took chemistry for like 3 days, and I was like, this ain't gonna work. And then I took bio, but there's so many great experiences of being here, and I kind of chalk it all up to when I had my phone interview and it went really well here. They were like, "Hey, you're gonna offer you to come on campus." I was like, "Great," and they were like, "You're gonna stay at the NA Elon." I was like, "What? The NA Elon?" And I was like, "Oh, we got a hotel on campus? Great!" And they tried to do the interview thing. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna have people, escort you from place to place to make sure you don't get lost." I was like, "Yeah, you don't need to do that." They're like, "What?" I was like, "I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going." Even though they did throw me off on a loop because I completely forgot that Mosley had an upstairs, and one of my meetings was in like Mosley 205. I was like, Mosley has to, because I had no need to ever go up there. But just being here and being home, man, and I think I've just enjoyed everything Elon has to offer, and I think it was a perfect match. And I think the great thing was I got to experience a lot of things, though, right? I got to go to the large state school with the Power 5 program. I got to go to a state school that's a little bit more mid-major, that's, a little bit tucked away in the Midwest. And I am so grateful for those experiences and those students, because that really helped me become much better in a variety of ways. But ultimately, I think this is the place where I could be the best version of myself. I could be the best teacher possible. I can do research that I want. And then I think one of the biggest things about Elon is I get to do undergraduate research. So I get to help our students navigate the intimidation of research, and I understand how students are intimidated, but I think when students find a passion project, I think it's my job to help them maximize it. And Yeah, Elon's been good to me. It's been an outstanding place, and I get to call football broadcasts and sit in Shar Center and talk trash in Rose Stadium and get to go to Latham Field.
You do love talking trash at Shar.
I do.
We need to get you a mic for that one.
We do not at all.
It's a comedy session
It's
back there.
mildly embarrassing, but I get to have fun, and for me, there's just so much pride being back at your institution. But I think the thing I tell people all the time is this was not given to me, right? I had to go out and I had to earn this, and I feel like I have, and I want to make sure Elon understands the investment not only into me as a professional, but also within my education. It's helped bring me here, but ultimately it was going to help keep me here. So those things are really critical.
I've got one final question, because this was an idea that I brought up when we started talking about who we wanted to invite to the podcast, bring on.
Yeah.
I immediately went to the sport management department. We thought of you. We thought of a lot of others. So my question to you is, which of your colleagues should we invite to come on a future episode?
Listen, love my colleagues, but I think there's only one answer to this, and it's Dr. Young-Do Kim. And that's no disrespect to any one of my other colleagues, but I would say Dr. Kim is so interesting, not only from his academic experience, but his athletic background. Like, when I tell students that Dr. Kim had a very extensive hockey career, like, students look at me like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, you haven't talked to him. And for me, I would want to see him in a format like this, because I want to hear him really talk about it extensively, because, he'll allude to it. He'll crack a smile, as he tends to, but I think with all intents and purposes, no disrespect, Dr. Bacchino or Dr. Cryan or Troggett or any of you, he's the most interesting man in our department by far. And I think he'd be a great interview, especially talking about his experience within the sport industry and whatnot. And he's been around Elon for a while. Fun fact, Dr. Kim actually got the job when I hired the first time. So once I met him, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I'll allow it. But no, he's such a great individual, and I think just his expertise would be a really good conversation that will, for a lot of students that have had Dr. Kim, that love Dr. Kim, which is everyone, just hearing him talk about his path in sport would be really, really awesome.
If we had that episode, it has to be recorded on Friday.
Oh, definitely a happy Friday. Absolutely happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I mean, I'm telling you, one of the greatest things about my job right now this semester is that I'm in 201 and long, he's in 203. And if there's ever a quiet moment in one classroom, you can easily hear the other one, because we're both loud. And individuals have said, when they walk by, they're just like, this is such a positive area when you two are going. I was just like, well, you have two people that truly love what they do. Now, we're very different in our approach. Dr. Kim is the nicest human being. I'll get you together real quick, as some people know. But when it comes to our love of teaching, I think we both share that. And he's actually my official mentor, so we talk a lot, and he's a great resource. So I think all of my colleagues would be great additions here, but I think Dr. Kim would give you some absolute fire for sure.
Yeah, I think it'd definitely be fun to dive into the Dr. Kim hockey days up in Canada, and
I think the world needs that.
Absolutely,
I think
it'd be a fun one.
It would be. I mean, no diss to anyone else, but I just feel like that would be one where a lot of our students would get to hear him, because he doesn't like talking about himself a lot. I want to have a fireside chat with, kind of leading a dialogue with him while our legs are crossed and we're sinking. We're drinking hot apple cider with a backdrop of a roasting. That's not the word, of a fire, just in the fireplace, and then we have a row of students just listening to his every word, because honestly I would be locked. I would be absolutely locked in, and I might cry a little bit, because I feel like he's going to bring that much thunder, and that's like I said, that's no disrespect to anyone else, but I would say Dr. Kim has that personality that he'll make it entertaining.
The newest entity of Rising Phoenix, the Dr. Walker Fireside Chats.
Listen,
coming up soon.
I was about to say, we need that.
Like
coming up soon.
You just convinced me. I'm sold.
I feel like I would love that. Like, honestly, where we could have it in Mosley right there by, kind of shut down, set up Mosley a little bit, where we can have myself in a nice chair, and then we'll just bring some interesting guests. I know people who know people who know people. I would say like Greg Horinda from the basketball team would be great in that situation. One of the coaches, he's the most ridiculous human being that I love. There's so many guys, and a lot of women as well. I think our AD, Jen Strawley, would be great. I'm just saying, if this actually happens, make sure to cite your source. Just gonna throw that out there.
Oh, 100%. Well, thank you, Dr. Walker. One last time, just to give you a spot to plug anything you're working on, maybe drop where your office is so students can come by and meet you, and hopefully get a few more sport management students rise up those rankings. But just give you a little time to final remarks.
Yeah, I would simply say this. If any student is interested in our major, any student interested in doing any type of undergraduate research within sport, any student that just wants to have a conversation about this industry and learn how they could potentially find their place, I would also say any students interested in graduate school, pursuing any graduate education in sport management, sport administration, just come to the Long office. If I'm in there, I'm yelling at whoever the student worker is or at Dr. Troggett. They'll be intimidated. Just come into where you see the gaming chairs.
Those chairs are comfortable.
They are great. Get you some candy, sit there, and let's just have a conversation. And that's open to any and all students. And if I'm not in there, I promise you, any one of my colleagues would love to talk to us as well. So if you're interested in sport, not just what you see on TV, but learning about this industry comprehensively, come see us over in Long, upstairs, second floor.
If you are an Elon athlete, coach, or alumni interested in being featured on future episodes of the Rising Phoenix podcast, contact Jacob Kissamore at jkissamore@elon.edu. That's JKISAMORE at elon.edu. Or Chase Strasser at cstrasser@elon.edu. That's CSTRAWSER. And once again, you can follow us for more content and information on Twitter at EU Rising Phoenix and Instagram at Elon Rising Phoenix. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Rising Phoenix podcast.